Hey guys, welcome to the vFanatic. So, first and foremost, wishing you all a happy and prosperous New Year 2021. Now, I've not been making a lot of videos last year, but then one of the reasons is I essentially switched to AWS in terms of the technology I work on. And VMware has actually taken a backseat, to be honest with you. So I've not really made a lot of videos on VMware over the past year. But then a lot of people who know what I'm working on currently have reached out asking me to make a set of videos on AWS covering the basics. So this is my attempt to kind of approach AWS from a layman's perspective. So if you've never heard of AWS, or rather if you've not worked on AWS, you don't exactly know where to get started. So this set of videos will help people who've never actually worked on it. Now, my approach to making these set of videos are to start from the absolute basics. So from, let's say, a person who's never opened the AWS console, we'll actually go ahead, create an account, sign up for AWS, etc. Right? So it's going to be just the bare basics, and I'll try to cover all of the services that AWS currently has. So AWS currently, if you go to the AWS website, they have listed around 82 different services. So not all of these services are used by a lot of folks. So there are some standard services like S3, and there are some standard services for compute, etc., which people do use. And then there are IoT, and then various other services which are more niche, right? Which are more specialized in terms of usability. So what I'll be doing is I'll try to cover all the 82 services which AWS actually has, starting from the basics. So if you've never heard of AWS at all, in that case, AWS or Amazon AWS, essentially they are the forefront in terms of cloud technologies. And so essentially you have Google who've got their GCP or Google Cloud Platform. You have Ali who actually have the Ali Cloud. You have AWS who actually have their own Amazon Web Services, etc. Right? So there are various vendors who are developing their own set of cloud-based services, which essentially you can use more or less to create your own environment, your own set of tools, set of environments which you actually need. So for example, let's say you know how to actually go about setting up your AWS account. You know that the AWS console can actually be accessed by going to aws.amazon.com. But let's say that you're a newbie, right? You don't actually know how to begin. So in that case, if you just open Google and if you search for AWS, you'll see that there's a link which comes up, which is aws.amazon.com. So if you click on the link, it takes you to a page, and on that page you basically have a lot of details, a lot of info about AWS itself, and then you have a lot of details about the regions AWS actually supports, and etc., right? But this is complicated for a person who's never really worked on it before. So if you scroll through the page, in that case, you have your solutions part of it, which is here, either by technology or by industry. Scroll down, you have various, you basically have various details about services which AWS actually has. Keep scrolling down and you have a lot of detail which about AWS regions and tiers and all that, which is actually here. So it says create a new AWS account. I'll just click on that. Now it's asking for an email address. So here the email address I'll be using is this one. Okay. Password, again, let's type in a generic password. AWS account name, what I'll be using is just the same one. And click on continue. Now security check, NW B7 E8. Continue. Okay, now the account type. If you're using, if you'll be using this particular account for business purposes, in that case, it needs to be a professional account. But in our case, it's going to be personal, right? So, personal account, phone number. Again, you can type in a phone number. Country. And address. So let me just quickly fill this up. Now it's going to ask you for a credit or a debit card number. So I've got a debit card, I've got a credit card which I can use. Okay. So the next thing we'll need to do is we'll need to confirm our phone number, verify our phone number. All right. So here it says your identity has been verified successfully. We'll hit on continue. Now this is a place in which we need to select a support plan. Since we'll be using the basic plan, we'll be choosing the free tier. All right, that's it. Now here it says welcome to the Amazon Web Services. Thank you for creating an account, etc. So at this point, our account has been created, but then it'll take a minute or two for the account details to be verified and sent to our email address. Now, when logging into AWS, there are two concepts here for logging in. One is actually the root user and the other one is the IAM user. So the root user is essentially like the admin user, and unless absolutely essential, the root user should not be used. But then in our case, we're using the account for the first time. Let's continue logging in with the root email address, and then we'll see as to what the console actually looks like. All right, so let's log into your account. Okay, so click on got it here. So this is what the AWS Management Console actually looks like the first time you log in. Now you have your account name here. In my case, it's just vFanatic AWS. If you click on that, you'll be getting your account number, which is right here. Apart from that, if you want to see the services which are here, in that case, you'll need to come down here and click on all services and just click on the drop down. And you have all of these services which Amazon actually provides you. Now, there are a lot of services which you'll be using on a daily basis. So for example, let's say if you might be using an EC2 instance, you might be using storage, which is essentially an S3 or any of the other instance types that you actually have. There are more niche kind of services which you may not be using on a daily basis. So for example, let's say robotics or satellite ground station, etc. These are services which you probably will not be using on a daily basis until and unless you actually work on an industry which is specific to that specific niche. Now, while we are speaking here, I just got a new email which has come in, which essentially tells me that my account has been set up. So it says, welcome to Amazon Web Services. Thank you for creating an Amazon Web Services account. So for the next 12 months, you'll have free access to compute, storage, database, and application services. Learn more by visiting our free tier page. Now, although this is, it says that for the next 12 months, you'll have free access to compute, storage, database, and application services. Not all services are actually free, right? There are some chargeable services within that. So if you click on the free tier page, it takes you to another page here, which will actually explain to you as to which are the services which are free and what are the limits on individual services. So for example, let's say under the free 12 months free package or plan that we are currently on, which is the free tier, we know that we can have 5 GB of S3 Amazon S3 storage for free. Beyond that is will actually be charged, right? So out of this 5 GB of standard storage, we know that we can do 20,000 get requests and 2,000 put requests. Now, what are these requests? What is a get request? What is a put request, etc.? We'll actually get to that. Now, in terms of on the left hand side, if you want to figure out as to which are the featured services, which are the 12 months free, which are the services which are on trial and always free, you've got a checkbox here you can actually check and verify. So for example, let's say if you want to check which services are trial, in that case we know that SageMaker is free for 2 months, Light Sail is free for 750 hours, your Guard Duty is actually free for 30 days. So depending upon which service you're looking at, it may or may not be free, you may or may not be charged, right? If you want to check in terms of product categories, in that case you have, for example, let's say check out machine learning. So machine learning, you have a 2 month SageMaker, you have Comprehend, you have Comprehend Medical, etc., which are there. So based upon which service you want to kind of work on, it may or may not be free under the free tier, right? So that is something you need to keep in mind. Let's go back to my email here. I think there's one more email which has come in. So here what it says is, welcome to Amazon Web Services. You can get started by accessing the AWS Management Console, launching an EC2 instance, or exploring popular software optimized for EC2 on the Amazon Marketplace. So what is the Amazon Marketplace, etc.? We'll actually take a look right now. Now going back to our Management Console. So this is what the Management Console actually looks like. Now, if we look at what is actually available on this page, right, first of all, so essentially on top you have your account details, you have your account, you have your org, you have your service quotas and billing dashboard, and security creds, etc. Right next to that you have your region, as to which region are you currently logged into. Now Amazon has their data centers spread across, and then each data center, or rather each, if I can put it this way, each specific region has a specific data center. So there are some services which are region specific, there are services, or there are some services which are non-region specific and which are global. So which are these services? We'll actually, as and when we discuss a specific service, we'll actually get to that. But then as of now, we see that some of the regions are actually US East. There are 2 US East, US West. You actually have Africa, Cape Town. You have under APAC, you actually have Hong Kong, Mumbai, Seoul, Singapore, Sydney, and Tokyo. You have Canada Central, you have Europe, Middle East, and you also have South America, which is Sao Paulo, right? So there are the regions which you actually have. Now, in terms of support, if you click on the support, you have the support center, you have expert help, forums, documentation, training, and getting started resource center. Now, the thing to note is the Amazon console, you can either access it through the GUI or you can actually access it through the CLI as well. So we'll get to all of that in detail later on. You also have an Amazon mobile app on your iOS, or for your iOS or your Android device you can actually use. So this is the link. You can actually click on this and it'll take you to a page which actually you can download the app from. So again, basics. What does the Amazon console look like, or what does the Amazon page, once you log in, what does it actually looks like? It looks exactly like this. So this is your Amazon console. Once you've logged in, this is your Amazon console. Now if you do not if you've never used Amazon at all, in that case there are a couple of things which are interesting. So for example, if you go right to the end of the page, you have learn to build. So it'll tell you as to there are actually videos and there are tutorials and labs which you can do for individual devices which are here or individual services which are here. So for example, let's go to storage. So storage, you'll see that it actually we'll just wait for this to load. That's weird. Okay, storage is not coming up. Let's try the others. Okay, so the page isn't really refreshing, so there's a problem with the page here somewhere. Let's just refresh this. Okay, now it's coming up. So click on storage again. So storage, you see that there are under free tier you actually have a lab which says store and retrieve a file. So securely stored and access files at scale in the AWS cloud. So the ETA for this, if you want to take up this particular course or this particular lab, is actually 10 minutes, right? So then you have create and mount an EFS file system using Amazon EC2 launch instant wizard. You also have replace tape with cloud storage. So this is actually a longer lab. This is 40 minutes. So depending upon what you want to work on, for example, let's say you want to work on serverless or whatever, in that case, there are labs which you can do. There are some labs which are free. There are some labs which are not free, right? In which you'll be charged. And depending upon the length of time for a specific lab, there are labs which are shorter. For example, 2 minutes of time. I think I saw one somewhere. Okay, this one is 5 minutes of time here. And there are some which are longer. So for example, this one is actually a 2 hour. But then it's a 2 hour because it actually allows you to build serverless web application from scratch. So if you click on any of these, so let's click on this and see what it looks like. So it actually takes you to a page which is a project page, right? It says build a serverless web applications with AWS Lambda, API Gateway, AWS Amplify, Amazon DB, DynamoDB, and Amazon Cognito. So this is what the entire app actually looks like. It is subdivided into modules. So if you can see here, right, there are modules which are here, and this is a very good way of getting started once you've actually logged into your account and you want to play around with the AWS subsystem, right? So this in short is how you log in to the AWS console, how you actually create an account, and how you actually log into the console. So the point to remember is, for you to be able to have an account, for you to be able to log into AWS, what you'll need is you'll need to have a valid email address, you'll need to have a phone number, and you'll need to have a credit card, right? So that is in brief is how you actually log in, how you actually create an account on AWS, and how you actually log into the account. So this will be the first video as to how do you actually go about creating an account on AWS. How do you log in? What are some of the services? How do you actually check for services which are there under the AWS? How do you figure out which region you are in? And how do you actually find out your account number, right? So those are the things which we have discussed here. So this will be the first video in the series. Stay tuned for the other videos here. And thank you for watching vFanatic.